Well, on Saturday, we travelled to Villa Park for what will be another tough away game. To help us preview this one, Chad Williams from the Villa Forever podcast is joining us. Chad, thank you for coming on. Going to talk to you about the game. Tell us a little bit about your podcast first, if you don't mind.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you all of you guys for inviting me onto your show. And yes, I'm a Villa Forever podcast. I started the Villa Forever podcast about 20 months ago now. And I thought the idea of combining my love of Aston Villa to spread awareness of a condition called Duchenne muscular dystrophy. It is a muscle wasting condition. It's a genetic condition. It affects all the muscles, and it affects boys, and it's 100% fatal. And that's why, for me, it's very important I keep raising awareness about the condition. It's important to get the word out there. Also, I'm a pretty much talk shows. I have a lot of good guests on my show. And it's gone strength to strength.
It sounds great, and I'm really pleased that you've joined us tonight. And I would encourage anybody to check out your podcast and do a little bit of research into it. I was going to say life under Emery's a bit up and down at the moment, isn't it? I mean, there was a time when you were bottom of the table with us, and I think we both lost our managers at the same time, and then we were envious of how well you were doing. But what have you made of the last few games? Because it's been a bit tough.
Well, at the moment, we're going through a bad patch at the moment. But that's to be expected. I think there are a lot of games, especially in the Champions League as well. But at the beginning of the season, I thought we started quite well. But you can see now, I think, the Champions League is really affecting us now. Another thing that I didn't like as well is the last few games as well. The same mistakes seem to be happening. And we sort of need to learn from those mistakes. And they've cost us games.
Well, you're in good company because we spent the last few weeks talking about exactly the same thing. So.
well, at least you know how we feel.
It's been an interesting run for Villa, hasn't it, Alfie? Because we they were flying at a time, and as we were sort of alluding to earlier on, maybe when they're battling on both fronts, it's going to cost them a little bit, and that league form is, I mean, it's not going to give us any hope, is it? But I'm sure it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, I think it's one of those runs that's gone under the radar just because of Man City failing to win in that time as well, really. Because I had no idea that Villa hadn't won in 8 until today, until I watched that, and you see that on Sky Sports, and I just sort of assumed they were just up there, and they've got a decent squad. I think Glen sort of said it before we came on air. I think it's thin in some areas, and I think that certainly up front they had sort of John Duran, who was coming on scoring goals every week. They've got Morgan Rogers, Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
They are players to be envious of. But you just go back and look at their games, and I do think it's just the classic case of the Champions League. And I think Brighton struggled when they were in the Europa League, and for like a medium to big sized club, it's a tough ask. When they haven't got the hundreds of millions of any other team. But I don't know what Chad can tell us about Chelsea, because obviously.
Well, the thing is as well, you got look at Man City. They're going for a bad patch at the moment, so we're not the only team that are going through it. But we just need to know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it runs deeper than we think. Maybe so it's going on the dressing room, or maybe we need a tactical tweak or something. Maybe.
We've obviously got Chelsea on Wednesday, so I'd be interested to get your thoughts on that game and that result today. What kind of went wrong?
Well, I was really disappointed. I mean, defending just wasn't good enough. And the first goal, to be honest, actually, I thought we should have actually put it as a foul. But the other goals, though, there's no excuse. And the thing is that Aston Villa there's a level of expectation of what we expect. As Villa fans, we expect better.
The difference is, I guess, we're making mistakes and we're having issues with VAR, but we don't actually expect better. We're kind of where we thought we were going to be. So, Martin, I think you kind of mentioned earlier on that they've just looked a shadow of a team that they were for you. What's your take on it all right now?
Yeah, I thought they were brilliant before the Champions League got underway. They were playing some brilliant football. They even started the Champions League campaign really well, didn't they? They were brilliant. They've got some good players. I really like Ollie Watkins. I think he's a brilliant striker. He looks like he's played a lot of football, and they said that he's played more than pretty much anyone in their squad recently. The goalkeeper got injured today. I don't know how long he's out for. That will be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to going to Villa Park, actually. I've not been there since the FA Cup semi-final. When we beat Watford that day, many years ago. So I'm
was
looking
that
forward to the
James
trip.
Beattie, was it, or was it Brett Ormerod? I can't remember.
Brett Ormerod.
Both
Was
of
it
them,
Brett
I think,
Ormerod? They
Yeah.
both scored, didn't
Yeah.
they? What a day
I think
that
it was an own goal. I think one was given as an own goal eventually. Yeah.
And I guess the good news is, Martin, we'll have had a few players rested because they're all suspended on Wednesday night.
Yeah, we can bring everybody back in, can't we? Which will hopefully be nice. But they've got Brentford in midweek, and that would be a tough game because Brentford are
And
flying
what
at
do
the
you
moment.
guys make of Southampton so far?
How long have we got?
Yeah,
Well,
I think the overriding
you're-
feelings, obviously,
you're
that they've been the masses of their own downfall a lot of the time. They've sort of been in a lot of games and they've given a lot of good teams a go, but then they falter when they play the sort of teams around them. So, I think when they go to Villa Park, they're going to play in a very clear way. They're going to try and win the game, and I think I don't necessarily think that it's a game that some fans should fear because, like Martin said, bringing everyone back in, it'd be probably a good time to rest Tyler Diblin, and particularly with Tyler Diblin's story regarding the fact that I think he grew up a Chelsea fan and obviously moved to Chelsea. It's not a bad midweek game for him to miss, actually, with all the inevitable noise and sort of media stuff that will go around that with a young player that good. And like I say, Flynn could probably do with a rest. He's somebody who misses games every now and then with little niggly injuries that, a week off for him. So I think that going to Villa Park, Saints fans will potentially feel they could do something.
I'm going to ask you for a score prediction in a minute, Chad. So just mull that over for us. We've had some good games at Villa Park then over the years, haven't we?
I remember Danny Ings had been on fire a few years ago, and we won 4-3. Was it? I think it was. It was a while ago. Jack Grealish was still playing for Villa at the time, but no, it's. I mean, it's fair to mention we've had some shocking ones there as well during.
Yeah, the last two were awful.
During Ralph's eventual demise, we went up there, and Villa. I think Steven Gerrard was still the manager.
Yeah, the last one.
So Villa,
forget about Gerrard.
Yeah, so Villa were not great, and it's kind of parallels with this game because Villa were in poor form then, and they're in poor form now. And we went to that game with Ralph Hasenhüttl and did nothing, and we just allowed Villa to do what they wanted. They scored 1-0. We did nothing. So, I watched Villa's game today against Chelsea, and yes, you're playing a very good side, but I thought Villa were very poor. I thought they looked leggy.
I agree.
Yeah, they didn't look the sort of team that you'd be frightened of, and if they don't get a positive result against Brentford in midweek, then we can certainly go there, and we're playing a bang out of form side.
What I think it's the defence that worries me. We're conceding far too many goals. I think Southampton, you could get at us, maybe. I think.
Yeah. I mean, shots on target have been an issue for us, just generally, Chad. But what do you? Would it be a strange atmosphere? Because I think if you don't get the result midweek, are the fans going to turn, or is the Champions League giving them enough credit in the bank?
I mean, you might get a few sections supporters that might, but I think we're going to do it. They need to get behind Unai Emery and the team. I don't think it's going to help. They're going to get funny back in. But I do think that game, though, it's going to be like an edgy atmosphere, I think. Let's say if you get to half time and say, we don't score, so then we start to get nervous energy. in Starke. So I personally think the first goal is important for Villa.
Yeah. I think for Aston Villa fans, obviously, Chad, you'll know more than I will, but I think that they can't be turning yet. I mean, I think every team that goes into a competition, particularly the Champions League, where they're playing teams like Bayern Munich and Juventus, you have to expect and appreciate that there's going to be a downturn in the Premier League for them. And that's not to say that you can end up finishing 18th, and that's fine. But it's so difficult for a squad who which isn't one of the big ones to compete on both fronts. So I would expect Villa Park to be behind their team for a long time to come.
I was going to do score predictions, but I'm thinking maybe instead we just do what the VAR issue will be. Are we going to go for like dubious offside, red card missed, penalty not given? Maybe we'll just like do a poll on that on social media instead. Let's get some score predictions. Martin, you're obviously heading up to Villa Park, and they're not in a great run of form at the time of recording anyway. So how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do against Brentford in midweek. I believe that one's at home as well. I think it'd be tough, but I think that we're going to need to get a win. Whatever happens, somewhere along the line in the next week or so, we're going to need to get a win if we're going to have any chance. Not that it's probably game over, but I want to put us down for a win, Martin. I want to give us a win.
Wow!
First away win, 2-1. 2-1 away win for me. Cameron Archer to go there and score in the Midlands would be magnificent against his former club. And Adam Armstrong, I think, has been playing okay recently. I think he's finding a little bit of form, bit of consistency in the side. I'm going to put him down for a goal as well. So 2-1 Saints.
A very little bit.
Alfie?
I will go for a 1-1 draw. But I mean, if you'd asked me 24 hours ago, I definitely would have said Villa to win. But just having watched them against Chelsea and actually looking at how turgid their form has been, I'll go for a 1-1 draw.
Fair dues. And Glenn?
The only game we won this season was when I predicted a 1-0 win against Everton. I'm going to go for that, even though I'm going to go for 1-0 win for Saints. Even though I look at the Villa squad and I see players like Konza, Pau Torres, Tielemans, Rodgers, McGinn. They're all the good players, and on paper that they should be too strong for us. I feel Villa are a little bit. They're suffering almost from overachieving a little bit. When they beat Bayern Munich, was it in the Champions League? I think that raised expectations. And
how special that was there.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, no, it was a great game. I enjoyed that. But I think John Duran coming on and scoring every time he set foot on the pitch, that probably made things seem a little bit better than they were, because you can't keep, you're never going to keep doing that. So maybe they are. Obviously they're out of form at the moment, but maybe they are sort of finding their level a bit. I'll be interested in the fans, because I found this about Brighton on Friday. There's a little bit of entitlement creeps in, and they expect to beat teams like Southampton at home. And you can't really blame them for expecting to beat the team that's bottom of the league. But if we go there and start the game relatively strong, yes, we got a bit lucky in the first half hour against Brighton, because the game could have been dead. Yep. But if we can go up there and start well against Villa, then I don't see any reason why, having watched them this week, today rather, I see no reason why we can't go up there and get something. So I'll optimistically go for a 1-0 shout.
All right. And Chad, before we let you go, can I get a score prediction from you?
So I'm gonna go at 2-1 Aston Villa.
2-1 Villa.
I do think we will concede. We don't keep clean sheets, but I think we'll win. I think we'll beat you, though. I think.
All right. Well, you don't keep clean sheets. We don't score goals, so this could be a really interesting game. So it's the Villa Forever is the podcast, and that's the number 4 in the middle. So if you want to go and check out Chad and his podcast, it's Villa Forever.
And also, I'm doing some fundraising as well for Acorns Children's Hospice. And actually, on my X account, I've actually got a link. So far, I've raised over £700. So if anyone wants to contribute, even as little as £2, then please go to my page. And also, I'm announcing a chocolate hamper winner on the 5th of December. So you can enter that competition as well.
Christmas present sorted there. We will share that on our social media as well. So wish you all the best of luck with that, and well done on raising that money so far. So cheers for coming on, Chad, and enjoy the rest of the season.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well done,
Thanks very
Chad.
much.
Thank you.